Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Also, if you're new, okay, I just increased my lighting by a lot. But welcome to this new video here. We're going to do a full update regarding the crypto markets right here. There are some things we need to talk about fundamentally. Technically, we'll take a look at Bitcoin. We'll take a brief look at XRP right here, even though it's very correlated to Bitcoin. But we'll talk about the different possibilities. I mean, obviously, as most of you know, the market has been incredibly volatile since this week, but it basically started last week already. So I mean, it's a clear direction is not right, is not in the room with us, all right. But we do have to know the levels to look at and levels to focus on, so that we can know, all right, well, if we get to that level and we get this reaction, then we can be certain we're going there. If we get to that level and we get the other reaction, we can be certain we're going there, all right. So in that sense, we have to be prepared right now. And even though at this point of time the market is volatile but balanced, at least today, this is the ideal time to actually get ready like that. Now, like I said, we actually had some news. Earlier today, we had a retaliation by China by putting another 80-something% tariffs on US, US exports to China in this case. So that pushed markets a little bit down, a little bit lower, but not much. I mean, if you take a look at the S&P 500 here, for example, it's holding on relatively well. And we actually had the US market opened about an hour and 15 minutes ago. We actually had a relatively decent opening. It's dropping a bit right now, and that's also pushing Bitcoin a bit lower, but ultimately relatively decent opening right here. And overall, the Asian markets actually were still quite decent as well, even though the Chinese market has dropped down a bit after the tariffs. Nikkei, same thing. So yeah, it's a mixed equities markets at this point of time. And then at the same point of time, we still do not really have any specific strength going into crypto. For a brief moment this afternoon, we saw some relative strength from Bitcoin compared to the stock markets, but that quickly faded. And you can also see right now that the Coinbase Bitcoin price is going into a deep discount. So there's no reason why we should suspect Bitcoin to rally if the stock markets do not rally. All right, and that is also still very much the case right now regarding everything that's going on. There is a lot of uncertainty in these equity markets. The volatility index is also still very high. The movement of these equity markets is going to depend on the development of this trade war. We get good news, we get a big spike. We get bad news, we're going to drop down lower. Even though I must say, also talking about Bitcoin here, specifically, it does look like the selling pressure has been exhausted slightly. China retaliating was probably partially already priced into the market. So that market participants already expected that, and maybe they also do already expect another retaliation by Trump, which we'll still have to see. I mean, we're most likely going to get there. I mean, it's now late afternoon where I live, but obviously it's about 5 to 9 hours earlier in the US. So we'll see, but that's a relatively good sign, all right? It's not reacting that much anymore to new retaliation. It does mean, I think, that we're getting closer to a bottom. Then that we're still going to drop down much lower, if that makes sense. So that's interesting. And just in general, I mean, what we saw from the news on Monday, the market is just very hungry for good news. And if we get some sort of a good news event, we're instantly going to get up to 80,800. And that's also the main level we need to watch. All right, talking about Bitcoin, but same thing for XRP right here. For XRP, the levels are just slightly different. The main thing is, for the main levels for Bitcoin are either 80,800. That's our line in the sand to still be bearish. And then the main level to the downside are these weak lows, we made at around 74,500. Those are the two levels, all right? We either reclaim 80,800, then we're going to be bullish, or we drop down below 75,000, 74,500, then we're going to drop down into the low 70s and maybe even high 60s. Given the uncertainty we have right now, like I said, it could be priced in that Trump is going to retaliate, could not be priced in, but given that uncertainty, which we certainly still do have, we haven't had any sort of relief yet, I would say it's still most likely we're going to drop down lower. Or at least it's best to assume we're going to do that, and then be ready to long if we actually get some sort of relief fundamentally. And for XRP, like I said, those levels are 1.95 and then to the downside 1.65. Those are basically the equivalents to XRP, what the levels 80,800 and 74,500 are for Bitcoin. Now, I wrote down here that I briefly wanted to talk about altcoins. There's not much to talk about. I mean, there are some altcoins that are gaining some strength. There's some manipulation going on for sure with gas earlier today. Can I zoom this in? Yeah, that might be a little bit too much, but Fun, for example, got some manipulation earlier today. Gas also got some manipulation earlier today. Oh, you can actually see the charts. Well, that's great. Did not know that. Gun, so that's Guns, has some elevated volume, so that could be interesting. Curve DAO was also requested by someone else, is actually showing quite a lot of strength, so that could be interesting. But there's nothing concrete. There's no coin right now where I would say, well, that looks ready to break out. So if there's anything like that happening, I'll probably make some sort of a new special video tomorrow morning, or I'll definitely post about it on my Twitter page. So make sure to follow me on there. It's exactly the same name. It's at cilinixfxcapital. But that's it for now. All right, that's what I think you need to know regarding the markets. So if you do have any questions, anything, let me know down in the comments or in the Telegram group, in the Discord groups, which you are very welcome to join. But for now, stay safe, stay vigilant, keep an eye on those news sources, and I'll speak to you all in new videos. Bye.